There's an agenda behind it, and a lot of people are completely oblivious to it, or maybe some people choose to be oblivious to it. It's going to affect a lot of people's lives, and it's going to come for your children's children. What am I talking about? Have you noticed that out west, out here in, the Americas, in Europe, well, maybe across the globe, including Africa and other continents, Australia, uh, places that were founded on Christian values, Christian principles, in those nations, Christianity is growing unpopular at a very rapid rate. On the opposite, a lot of people talk about being spiritual. And it's cool if you practice yoga or if you do, chakra, mystical spirituality, authoritarian spirituality. Any other form of meditation and spirituality is fine. But when you talk about Christian, Christ the Redeemer, Jehovah God, Holy Spirit, pretty much uncouth and unscrupulous, even if you were to talk about it in a corporate place. So much so that they would ask you not to talk about God in the workplace. The reason for that is because the trend of thought is pushed down from the higher ups, and that's your governments. It's okay to have symbolisms of Christianity. It's a fashion statement. It's a fashion trend to wear a cross, on your necklace, a tattoo, earrings, and you name it. But you just can't talk about the God of the cross. You can't talk about Christ who died on the cross. The Bible is a book of hate because it disagrees with certain people's lifestyles and certain groups would rather it be done with. Well, newsflash, the Bible disagrees with anybody who breaks the law. And isn't it interesting that the law of the land is primarily extracted from the law of the Bible, when yet the Bible is a book of hate? And so the reason why governments are pushing down the talk of God in government-funded places, in public places, and like I said, some corporate places have adopted and adapted that trend of thought, is because they themselves believe in Jehovah God. They know who Christ the Redeemer is, and they subscribe to the power and the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. Read Mark chapter 4. Christ visited a man who was sitting by the tombs, plagued by demons, and he called himself Legion because he had multiple demons. And when Christ approached him, the demons in the man cried out to Christ because he was about to exercise exorcism. And they said, "Son of God, what have we to do with you?" And when Christ says, "Get out of the man," they asked him for authority to go into the swine because they know who the true master is. They subscribe to the power of Christ. And believe you me, so do your governments. Your governments know exactly who Jehovah God is. They know who Christ is. They know what the Holy Spirit can do, and therefore would like to discourage corporate prayer, collective faith and fellowship, people coming to know God and to worship God, because 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1 to 4, the Apostle Paul writes to Timothy and he says, "Timothy, tell this to the people. Pray for those in authority over you, so that people may live peacefully and come to know the truth." Your government doesn't want that. Because if you truly and earnestly pray in truth and in spirit, your government knows that they won't get away with their corruption. They know that their agenda is going to get stumped. They know that if they do something wrong, the people will pray to God, and something is going to stop us. They know that Jehovah God can set them up and take them down. Read Isaiah chapter 40. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6 says, the government shall be on the shoulders of Christ. They know that they ride on his shoulders. He could just fling them off if he chose to. And so the agenda behind banning the talk of God and restricting the talk of God, yea, even some offices in some states in America don't even call for you to swear an oath on the Bible. You can swear even on a comic book if you chose to. Why? Because they want to dwindle and water down the value of God so that the people don't worship this God. Do you forget that it is because of the cry of God's people that God acted on Sodom and Gomorrah? It is because of the cry of God's people that God acted on King Pharaoh coming out of Egypt to the promised land? And so your modern government is fully aware that if the cry of people gets to God's ear and the people worship him in truth and in spirit, we're in trouble. That's why your government is fooling you. Like I said, 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1 to 4. At the very end there in verse 4, it says, so that people may live peacefully and come to know the truth. That's what Paul says. Pray for those in authority over you so that people may live peacefully and come to know the truth. Your government doesn't want you to know the truth. We live in an era, in a wave of fake news and false information. Even mainstream media pushing out false propaganda, false information, so that they tell you what they want you to hear and make you believe what they want you to believe. It's no longer about the truth. We're at a time now where it's about your truth and my truth, not the truth. And the governments want that. They want that confusion. They want the commotion. They want to divide and conquer. That's why Christianity is dwindling in places, in nations, in continents, in governments that were founded on Christian values and Christian principles. Isn't that ironic? Think about it.